Good. Right. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, engineer.
Thank you.
Very good. So, I mean, we are going through a very tough phase of debilitating drought, and we have heard it from the government that this is likely to edge up the cost of electricity, bearing in mind that our dams, the water levels have gone quite low. What is your reaction to that?
Well, O'Brien, the water levels is a reality because everyone knows that it's been dry. We've been going through drought. And we are happy that despite the low water levels, we have other sources of electricity that will ensure that there's no power rationing. So currently we have geothermal, which is providing the biggest part of our generation. As a matter of fact, it's at about 47-48%. And then, of course, we have the hydros, which are able to supplement that. And then there are also the diesel plant that are able to give the balance to the tune of about 13-14%. Yes.
I mean, as a country, should we be talking about, raising the cost of energy in a country where we have a surplus?
It's not really raising the cost of energy, because I think it's fair to appreciate that the environmental conditions that come about outside the control of the players do affect the way business is done. For example, when the rains are very good, we generate a lot from the hydros. And in fact, the fuel cost charge that you find on the electricity bill comes very low. On the other hand, like now when the drought is biting us and you have to raise a little more generation from the diesel, you might see some increase in the thermals. And I think that's what the Cabinet Secretary explained some 2 weeks ago when we visited the dams, that that fuel charge could go up a bit to ensure that there's no rationing, but that everybody's getting electricity. Yes.
And we know for sure that if we raise the fuel charge, it is going to have an impact on the total cost of electricity in this country. Still, while at 8, we know for sure as a country we are blessed. We have immense potential of geothermal. We have immense potential of solar, of wind in this country. How comes we still rely so heavily on hydropower?
Okay, first of all, the fact is that hydropower currently is the cheapest source of energy in Kenya. So we must appreciate that it's what has made us to be where we are in terms of the cost. They were the earliest mode of generation that was developed in this nation after independence. And at one point in Kenya, hydro supplied 80% of the power that is consumed. But over time, because of exactly what you've raised, over reliance on hydro, we've been able to add some other sources of generation, such as geothermal, so that now geothermal dominates at the 47-48% that I've mentioned. So yes, there's been tremendous efforts in moving us away from being completely dependent on hydro. But as I said before, remember, hydro is very, very good and cheap. And because the rains do come, only that occasionally we have some drought. But most of the time there's no drought.
But of course, we can't run away from the fact that hydro is one of the most unreliable form of energy, because it's very hard to predict when we are likely to have drought and when we are likely to have an overflow.
Okay, fine. So you mentioned solar, you mentioned wind. Hydro, by the way, is not as unreliable as solar.
It's one of the most unreliable.
It's not as unreliable as wind, because as you know, wind will blow one time and it's not there. Solar is there, but immediately there is a little cloud, you could see your meters coming down to zero. So actually, of the type of renewables that exist, geothermal leads, hydro would follow, certainly not comparable to solar or wind.
And it is said that our potential to produce geothermal is about 10,000 megawatts.
Correct.
How much are you planning to add to the grid in the next 5 years?
Okay, so currently the geothermal installed capacity is about 670 megawatts. Compared to a total of 2,350 total installed capacity. So you can see it's just about a quarter. But as I've already indicated, that quarter of installed capacity produces 47% of the electricity that is used in the nation. The potential is about 10,000 for the country. As Kengen, in the next 5 years, we have a pipeline of projects of 720. And out of that, geothermal is contributing 630. So you can see it's like we are going to more than double the capacity that we have today in the next 5 years. Yes.
And are you demotivated by the fact that, the uptake of generated power in this country has gotten to a point whereby it is becoming too slow and thus, acting as a demotivator to power generators?
Okay. Power generation is actually a long-term investment. It's not something that you invest and expect that in the next 2-3 years you're getting a return. It's long-term. Our PPAs, power purchase agreements, run for 25 years. So when we invest in power, we know that even though for the first 1 or 2 years the demand may not be that good, it's just a matter of time before the demand picks up. So we are not demotivated by that at all, because we know that as the economy picks up and continues to grow, even the capacity that now may seem like is a bit of excess will actually not be there.
How much idle power do you have?
Okay, currently the total installed capacity is 2,350 megawatts. The recorded demand is 1,650. So you can say there's a difference of about slightly less than 700 megawatts. But remember, it is from that spare so-called capacity where you have to maintain the power plants that you have, because they are moving machines, and at one time you need to stop them, so you maintain them. Another time you may have an emergency shutdown on one of them because it's developed a fault. So that spare capacity or reserve capacity caters for that. So it's not really too much, considering that you need it for reasons such as what I've said, and also the fact that in the case of hydro, when you have a drought and the capacity reduces a bit, then you call on that capacity so that you can meet the demand. Yes.
And there was a time when GDC and Kengen, they were very aggressive in the exploration, but this has plateaued. What has happened?
Okay, maybe I need to correct you there. We are still very aggressive in terms of exploiting the geothermal. Just to give you an example, in the last 3 or so years, we have drilled over 110 geothermal wells as Kengen.
110.
110. That is giving us a capacity of close to 500 megawatts. And that is what is going to help us to develop the 630 megawatts that I said we are installing in the next 5 years. So we have not slowed down at all. It's just that maybe, people have not known about it, but we are definitely exploiting geothermal as much as we can. In fact, we have got rigs at Okaria. I'm aware that GDC are also doing the work that they're doing in Menengai. And just today when I was at the Ministry of Energy, I was talking to the managing director of GDC, and they say they're starting some work in Baringo for drilling more wells. So the work has not really slowed down, but it's continuing in earnest.
I mean, we can leave that question at that point in the interest of time, but I still want to find out, sometimes back, Kengen had hinted at a possibility of exporting power.
Yes.
Are you still interested in doing so?
Yeah, so currently the only off-taker of the power that we produce is Kenya Power Lighting Company. So our power purchase agreements are with Kenya Power Lighting Company. And I'm aware, for example, that Kenya Power Lighting Company has signed a power purchase agreement with Rwanda for 30 megawatts, of electricity. So clearly that is there. Now, what we are waiting for as Kengen is a point where perhaps when the law or the energy bill allows for us to be able to sell to other consumers, and the networks are also in place, because to export power you need the transmission lines. Currently we are only connected to Uganda with a very old line that Kengen, when it was called Kenya Power Company, constructed in the 50s.
Yeah.
But more transmission lines are being connected, and as we connect Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, the possibility of exporting power, we are still considering it as Kengen. Yes.
And if, for example, the energy bill was to be passed or fast-tracked in Parliament,
yes,
and let's say that we have it by the second quarter of this year, are we ready to do so? And how much will it cost for Kengen to start there?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it will be still difficult to export the power because you need the infrastructure, and that is the transmission line. So, for example, KETRACO now are in the process of negotiating Tanzania for an interconnector, a power interconnector to connect Kenya and Tanzania, because we are not connected to Tanzania. The Ethiopia line is yet to be completed. So you need that infrastructure
to be put in
for
place.
trading across the nations to happen.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Engineer, for joining us here on the Trading Bell.
Okay, thank you very much.
Albert Mugo, Engineer, is the Managing Director and CEO of Kengen, joining us here to help us understand their business. You're watching the Trading Bell. We'll be back shortly.